Okay, basically the two I really want to cover tonight is the RDMs that were covered at the other night, the planning board meeting. Okay, so let's start with this easier one of the two, 2659, the small one of the two, I should say. So they have made some changes on it. They've gone down to a one-story building. The footprint of the building is bigger than before, but the overall square footage inside the building is less.
Is it closer to the residence boundaries since they made it bigger or no?
Supposedly, no. The setback of the building, I think, is supposed to be, from what I read, building setback in the rear. The existing was 262.9, and this is actually 274.3. So you
Is this the one off of East Road?
no, this is not. This is 117M. This is the auto return place and the garden shop. That's it here.
It's this one.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah.
So as you mentioned, at the planning board meeting, you caught it on YouTube, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The applicant said we've made it smaller, when in reality, they made the footprint bigger. So to your point, I think perhaps the interior volume may be smaller, but they did not provide any of those actual numbers. So we don't know if it's actually smaller.
I think they did to some degree. The building size, footprint, the footprint is 165 to 200, so not 3,400. But the overall size of the building dropped from 330,000, I think, down to 200.
Okay, so the interior square footage of usable square footage
Yes.
has gone down.
That's correct.
As Chairman Burgess pointed out, that initially the height of the building, they said we lowered the height of the building 20 feet or so.
Yeah.
And then the chairman pointed out your first floor elevation is higher than it was previously. And so visually, there really won't be much difference from what it was. So for the applicant to say, we made the building lower, well, not to the eye, perhaps from the actual ground level, but it'll still look the same height from the roadways.
And from the property in the back. Right? So what they did reduce it by 17 feet by the way we measured building heights.
Okay.
That is the correct answer that way, but you are correct that from the visual impact, that the height of the building, the finished roof height is going to be higher, or as high, rather.
Which to the lay person, you know, as we pass this building, from an environmental point of view, it's still a massive wall, if you will. It's a huge building. And again, I think the chairman did a good job of pointing out, they did not have the actual numbers. They said they'll come back with those numbers, the applicant said.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. Certainly the one plan they have had no topography on it. So there was no way to know what the slopes look like on this property or anything else in those terms.
And we're on
2659.
2659. That dashed line in the middle of the plan
Yep.
shows the difference between highway commercial and commercial/office.
And then there's also rural on here, rural around here.
Rural on the back side.
Right. And for half the size, right?
More than half the building.
Actually, this part changes here, really. Weird things, I know, but then if you look in here, in this part right here is zone CO, and that's rural around the outside, you're right. It's a strange way we mapped it, but we did.
And while we're on that, if I could say, I did write down some thoughts, let me share them with you. Our zones are not placed arbitrarily. The residents build their houses in the RU, the rural, and there's a reason we don't put rural next to industrial or highway commercial. The housing is buffered from the loud and disruptive zones by way of gradual zonings, right? It's basic urban planning. You've got industrial is the heaviest, highway commercial, commercial office, rural, then agricultural. And that's pretty much what the planners have done here, is they gave a CO, commercial, mixed-use occupancy, commercial office between the rural and the highway commercial. The applicant is asking for a variance that essentially makes that entire parcel highway commercial. Because they're allowed a 40,000 square foot building here, a 200,000 square foot building here. However, they're allowed to go as high as 35 feet here and 45 feet here. What they're asking for is the 200,000 square foot and the 45 feet. So that's a lot to put up next to, right up next to rural. And again, this is planned this way. This is a thought out master plan that the applicant is basically just saying, let's throw that away.
Okay, what do you said something about the 200,000 square feet,
What's interesting is that our codes allow for a building up to 40,000 square feet and up to 35 feet high in
the part along the road.
in the highway commercial,
Yeah.
right? I'm sorry, highway commercial,
Yeah.
40,000 square
Yeah.
feet and 45 feet high, 45 feet high, so smaller building but higher, okay? Now, in the CO, which is the backside there that movie's on,
Yeah.
that they're allowed a 200,000 square foot building, which is 5 times the size
Yes.
of a building they're allowed in the highway commercial. But they're only allowed to go 35 feet tall. And the applicant is asking for a variance to go 45 feet tall in the CO. So one, up to 200,000 square foot, which is 5 times the size of the building you'd normally allow to go 45 feet, and they want to go 45 feet tall. So what I'm saying is, you're moving a very large building, a very large occupancy, right up next to the rural. The beauty of the master plan is that it is urban, this is urban planning. Rural, CO, HC. Rural, highway, commercial, occupancy, office, and then highway commercial out here. What I'm saying is, from the environment, from the ERB's point of view, we're looking out for, of course, we're looking out for the ecology, we're looking out for our land use, we're also looking for our residents and their way of life. And again, what the applicant is asking for is to kind of toss that rule. They're not kind of asking, they're absolutely straight out asking for it. They're asking for everything, which I guess is,
No, they actually, if you read their application, they actually started out, they were going to need 6 variances, now they're saying they only need 4.
Neil,
No, I'm just,
okay, but I also, the thing is, the applicant is going back to a plan that no longer exists. I would just as soon, let's never talk about that initial plan, because it was overzealous, it was never gonna work, and it's off the books. So let's just talk about this one.
sure, okay.
And in this one, I'm saying, the applicant is asking to put, that they have the right to go 200,000 square feet in the CO, but they have to keep it to 35 feet high. That's the code. They're saying, no, we want the height that we're allowed in the highway commercial.
And the one that's closer to the road instead of closer to the rural.
Yeah. And so, and you're putting this right up against an existing neighborhood. And from the ERB's, I look at it from an environmental point of view. I haven't even gotten into the water yet and what can actually be done. Forget about traffic, because that's an absolute mess, which I think planning board member Diana Lipinski made a fantastic point about queuing on 17M, which we haven't even gotten into that. You're virtually destroying that community by putting something this big. 200,000 square foot at 35 foot high, or 45 foot high at 40,000 square foot, pick one. But you bought the property.
Knowing that.
That's exactly where it was.
You know
No, this is a you problem, not a me problem.
Right. Right.
Certainly, they bought it knowing what the zoning was,
Yes.
or
Oh,
should have
yes.
known what it was, absolutely.
Could we
talked briefly.
And the different types of zoning over that
Sure,
one parcel.
they were certainly
Knowing
aware
they're
of that.
backed up to a residence.
Correct.
All right, so the big thing with the residents is we have certain buffers because of that. I think the other thing that becomes significant is this is a special permit. This requires a special permit from the planning board, which requires certain findings, and of which is that it's compatible with the neighborhood. That would mean that this use, even if it's legitimate here, and I'm not saying it's not, even being legitimate, it has to be compatible with the neighborhood. Okay, and the reason special use permits are, and I think that the attorney for the planning board needs to explain it to them, I believe, is that a special permit, we recognize the fact that a building or a project allowed by special permit in an area may not be able to fit into every parcel in that area. Even though the whole thing is zoned that way, it is at least possible that some lots or some parcels within that zone that are zoned to allow it by special permit will not be compatible, or may not be compatible.
Can I have that picture, the satellite? Thank
I
you.
believe that's the way the special permits work, and I think that certainly the attorney needs to explain that with some, as to what compatible means or what that finding requires.
Neil, isn't there also, like, isn't there an ordinance that says that doors cannot face the road?
No, there is a thing, it's similar to that. It says that, actually what it says is you can't have parking in front of the building unless it is screened from the road or neighboring properties also. So that it's not sealed, you can't see it based on natural vegetation or natural topography.
Didn't we just have an applicant is looking to do a auto repair business on 70 now? And don't they wanna put the roll-up doors facing the highway?
Yes.
And is that allowed?
That was not, I
Right.
don't think. They wanted to put two cars on display as well.
The display was not good.
And the
The
display
display was
was
no
not
good.
good.
I'm trying to remember whether the door was no good. I don't think it's no good.
I think they made them turn the building and the doors now on the sides.
It may be.
I could be wrong.
Do you remember, Grace?
Just as you really remember.
No. All right, thank you.
I'm not here for comment.
All right. But we could use your wealth of knowledge. I don't remember whether, I don't know that there's an absolute preclusion to doors in the front. There is that you cannot have parking in the front if it's visible from the road.
So what we're saying is this will not be visible, the parking area will not be visible from the road due to the foliage.
Except that if you look at it, it looks like they're taking all the foliage out of this because.
Yeah,
it's
it does.
stormwater. All the foliage out of that because it's stormwater, and there's not gonna be much foliage left.
And not only is it parking, it's tractor trailer parking.
So you have to be 12.6.
Right, so instead of I'm not looking at a Toyota Prius, I got three Priuses stacked high, so.
Yes.
I
I think that that has to be a documentation they have to provide for the planning board or to everybody to document that in fact it would not be seen from the road. One of the problems we have oftentimes, we had really big time, is that we don't take into account stormwater ponds. We can take a good picture of this right now and show that there's trees all over the place, which are there until we make the stormwater pond. So we have to take into account what's it gonna be with the stormwater ponds in there. Now, in all honesty, it is possible, and I don't know that they're gonna do it, it is possible with enough topography change that this could be 50 feet higher than the road and then trees there, and that therefore, from the road, you would not see the trailers. They could try to mitigate it that way, I don't know that they are proposing that.
Depending on how big trees they put in.
Sure. And everybody will always argue that I'm required to put a minimum 5-foot tree in, and then in 10, 20 years, you won't be able to see anything. We did get, Legoland has put in big ones, Legoland has put in trees that are 30, 40 foot tall, and they have successfully grown, and it works really good. If you look up there towards the hotel, you will see big trees. Legoland planted those. So it is possible to plant big trees, it is possible to do that. And I would think that if they're gonna propose that they can do, that they wanna do that, they could do it. They could make that.
Question?
Sure.
So if you're not allowed to have any doors facing the road,
Yep.
is there any kind of association with like the residential side, so you,
No, the residents,
so you could just
the one scary thing.
stack it for the residents, but people driving by that don't live there, they get protected.
Absolutely, once there's,
Kinda doesn't make sense to me.
and it's just like the same thing is also true, that if I were to move my building forward to have all the parking behind the building, then the tractor trailers will be behind the building also.
Right
That
next
is
up to the
correct.
residential buffer.
That is correct, yes.
But that would go back to your previous comment about special use permit, that
Compatibility.
it has to be compatible.
Right.
And putting tractor trailers against a residential unit is very uncompatible, in my mind.
I'm not disagreeing, I'm just, but that is, I think the way the law reads is that, yes, theoretically, we could make them move to the back and that would be compliant. But I think the better answer for everybody is that they go ahead and they somehow make it so that you can't see it from the road. By topography or natural vegetation is the way it reads.
So Neil, everything I read about that garage is curb cuts, parking spaces, access. It doesn't say anything about the actual doors.
Okay. Thank you for looking.
Thank you.
But it could just not be in this right up here.
What is that?
That?
That. It's not on here, but there's something there that they're gonna go into.
No, that's in the one next door on, don't know what the heck that is, but that's next door on,
Northern siding,
no, there.
right? He's coming in that way and going in that direction.
There is a.
I don't know what that is. It has an address on it, 2635.
Oh, it looks like they were doing a well test, doesn't it? That's a.
I don't know, I've never seen anything like that, but, like somebody.
Oh, I know what that is. That's up on top of the hill. That's where the dome houses were.
Oh, okay, you're right.
They're not there anymore.
Okay. Okay.
Good answer.
And going back to the zone, if you're changing, to grant them the variance, I don't know that there's so much looking for a variance as a change in zoning. I was thinking it'd be highway commercial, but it doesn't even, because highway commercial would be 40,000 square foot and 45 foot high. They want 200,000 square foot and 45 foot high. That doesn't even exist. That doesn't.
But generally, you can ask for a variance, for numbers, is the way to. So anything that concerns numbers, you can ask for a variance for, and it's an area variance.
Right.
If you go for something that's a use change or something, use variance, that's extremely difficult to get.
You wouldn't call that a spot variance or a spot zone?
No, they're not proposing to change the zoning of anything, they're proposing to change the height of the building, and they're proposing to change the height by 33% or something like that.
They are proposing to change, it's commercial office, it's not warehouse.
But in our commercial office, I believe we allow warehousing. I have to look it up to be absolutely
I
certain.
thought it was 40,000 square feet, 35 feet high.
That's what Chris
That's in the
said.
CO, that's in the
And
AC
that's
zone.
most of that property.
40,000 square foot, 45 foot high in the highway.
Right,
And then in the commercial office / mixed use is up to 200,000 square foot, but 35 foot high. So much bigger, but lower. And when I see that kind of building, I'm thinking like onion storage out in the black dirt. You know, they got these massive buildings and they just need vast space, but it doesn't have to be high. And so I can see why that exists. But if you want super, super big and super, super high, that's why I'm saying, they're asking for a change to the zone that becomes something that is, it's almost a new zone. It's something completely new. You want big and tall.
I understand what you're saying, and I understand your logic. I think you'd lose on the argument with whether that's an area variance or a use variance.
Okay.
now the road is coming right up against the residential properties.
The
truck entrance.
truck entrance is not coming up against it.
Not on
Truck
this one.
entrance,
This is,
On this one, the
This
truck
is
entrance.
59, isn't it?
yes.
Yes,
It's coming right
I'm in here.
And this is the
The houses
residence,
that-
and they
No,
took
no,
all
no,
the
Your
trees
residence
out
is
here.
up here.
No,
That's 2075.
This is
This is
your,
175?
This
This
is
is
59, you're
2059.
thinking 75.
No,
No.
our house is here, this is residence.
That's
No.
correct. I
Right
just
here.
looked at it. It
All
is.
residents right along here.
I'll look at it again for you. It is.
Yep,
Yep.
it is. I know it.
Right here is where the residents are, and right here is about where my property is, and they took all the buffer out.
They want,
I really thought your residence would go
Nope.
there.
no, no,
Yeah.
they,
Yeah.
right here, they never
Go
changed
back.
this. Now, the old
You're right.
diagram, the trucks,
Right.
Yeah.
Right here.
You're right, you're right, I'm sorry.
yep, so this is where the residences are.
Yep.
And the old diagram where you had 2 stories, trucks are gonna be from here out. Now at 1 story, the trucks are coming all the way up close to the properties.
Mm-hmm.
And they never turned this building away, they kept this building the
Yeah.
same way. So which is on this? Is this the size they could put 200,000
Yes.
square
It is,
feet?
yes.
Oh, this is the size, okay. I thought it was the other way around.
200,000 square foot, but 35 feet high.
Okay.
They're asking for 200,000 and 45 feet high.
And then they gotta get this changed.
And they're going 10 feet higher on the
Right.
elevation.
Well,
Right.
that's the other thing we were speaking about before, and we don't know what the final elevation is gonna be or what it's going to look like. They didn't provide that, they will.
She's right.
And the house is over here.
I should point out that that map that I made, this is not professionally done. I mocked this up off of Google Earth, but I'm telling you, I did an overlay, and that's
Pretty close.
about as close as you're gonna get.
It's close enough for understanding this.
Mhm.
What does FFE mean?
Finished floor elevation,
Finished,
floor elevation.
oh,
So
floor.
that's the floor or it's
The floor, yep.
So there's another 10 or 12 feet above that?
No. What they're saying here is, the building gonna be 45 foot tall would be, 471 plus 45.
471 feet above sea level. Okay, so that's the elevation. We have to start somewhere, right? Now, here's the thing, that elevation could be 471, but if the roadway is 431, it's already 10 feet higher. Now add 40 feet above, and that's what we're saying, is this thing, it's just a wall in the sky. We don't know because we haven't seen any renderings. And the planning board did ask for that, they properly asked for it. I thought the applicant came a little bit weak to the planning board. They had so much time to get ready, and they came in with just the bare minimum, and the planning board asked some fantastic questions. They should have had answers to, and they
This is
didn't.
the closer to the front.
I think they came in looking for what's gonna be flagged by the planning board, and I'm not making a case for them.
Okay,
And I got news for you, the planning board flagged them with everything because they never gave answers from the original plan.
No, this is basically, we're almost starting from scratch.
that's,
They have some work from before that could be used, there's no doubt about it. But, they had never completed seeker, so there's all kinds of questions still from that.
What is this?
That's, gonna be stormwater pond. Stormwater pond, that's an existing wetland. In the past, they started showing that water from here was gonna go off onto the neighbor's property. Now, the other thing that was interesting is that,
What is that?
that's a tree. If I look here, I could probably find what kind of tree. That's something like a tree, an evergreen tree.
So where are the lights?
They are not showing any lights on the driveway.
That was a question.
Or
that I
in the
had.
parking lots?
Right, they don't have, they're talking about it, they're going, parking lot lights are gonna be, or actually, lights on the property are gonna go anywhere from 15 to 30 feet tall, is what they're saying. I think 30 feet exceeds somewhere like that, but
So how high are these houses from 17 Ave?
it's significantly higher. Yeah,
So they'll be looking down on the lights and stuff?
they may, the property, the houses behind there are gonna be either looking at the side of the top part of the building, or they're gonna be looking over the roof.
okay, while we're on that, let's talk about setbacks. The setback, when it's up against a residential area, it has to be 100 foot of wooded setback.
It doesn't quite say that, but you're right, it's 100 foot setback,
I believe it says wooded.
with a wooded buffer.
With,
If somebody's gonna, it's gonna be questioned as semantics.
Well, okay.
No,
Without having it in front of me, but
No.
for the discussion,
yeah,
it's 100 feet of wooded
with a
buffer
wood
zone.
buffer, yes.
Now, the idea, there's the law, and then there's the meaning of the law, the spirit of the law, if you will. And I've talked about this before. You're at a stop sign. The reason you come to a full and complete stop is so that you don't blow through the intersection and get into an accident. Well, let's say you get to a stop sign, you look left and right, and there's nobody coming, you haven't come to a complete stop, but the guy behind you, he's looking down at his phone, you're about to get rear-ended. So you don't come to a complete stop, and you blow the stop sign and get to the other side so you don't get hit. Did you break the law? Well, by black and white in the code, yeah, you did, but did you break the spirit of the law? No, you avoided an accident. And so, we're gonna talk about a 100-foot buffer, and why is it there? Is it just a 100-foot tape measure, so that the building inspector can go out, run out 100 feet and go, yep, that's 100 feet? Or, the 100-feet buffer, I think, is there, and it needs to be wooded because it gives you a visual buffer, it gives you a noise barrier, right? That's the reason for the 100-foot buffer. In this particular instance, and the applicant has said before, this is a very challenging site.
Just a tree line.
Because this site sits as much as, I believe, 40 to 50 feet lower than the residential houses that are there, you can have 100 foot of woods, but you're looking straight down at the top of this building, you're seeing the whole building. So the 100-foot buffer, while may meet the actual letter of the law, it does not meet the spirit of the law, and that's a real problem.
Let me read the code.
Mhm.
It requires a 100-foot setback with a wooded buffer required if the lot abuts a residential district. So there's no doubt about it, the building has to have a 100-foot setback. And it also has to have a wooded buffer. Now, if we go into the wooded buffer area code,
So you're saying it doesn't have to be 100 feet of woods?
I'm saying that was argued once before.
Okay.
I'm not,
This is
Now,
why it's helpful to have Neil Halloran talk about this stuff. Been there, done that.
the new plan comes exactly 103 feet
To the building.
to the building
100
from my
Drive-
property
That-
line.
that is
There's a driveway
correct.
behind there.
that is.
And now they're putting the driveway and they took out all the trees. The trees behind my yard are falling down with every windstorm.
Okay, and their argument's gonna be, and I'm not arguing against you, is that you are required to have a wooded buffer on your property, actually, without a conservation easement. So those trees should not be taken down that are on your property.
But I don't have to replant them
I
if they
don't-
fall down, do I?
I don't have that buffer because,
You don't have a
I
conservation
don't
easement?
have that buffer because the back
Mine's on
of
the
my
sides.
yard was cleared all the way almost to the back because of the hill. The leach field is all the way down in the bottom of my yard.
I have the
So
buffer
if you
on the
look,
sides.
the buffer comes along this way and then there's a big cutout
Okay,
in
you
where
could
my
write,
leach field is.
it didn't call it a buffer, it was a conservation easement area, and that's what we're supposed to have.
So do
So
I have to replace trees
the
in that
easement-
conservation area if they
No,
fall
you
down?
do not have to, conservation area does not mean you have to replace the trees. Conservation
You just
easement area
can't cut
means
them.
that you can't remove them.
Yeah, so the easement comes, and if the easement is notched out where my property goes all the way down.
I think
there,
we probably allow the easement to go right through your septic, you just can't, whatever, I'm not
Well, the
sure.
line on the
Yeah,
survey shows.
Okay, if you have the line on the survey showing something different, the line on your survey
That's what the
counts.
line of survey
Your
says.
survey counts. Here's the section of the code, it's actually Appendix B, that talks about buffer yards. And then we have buffer yards for whatever reason. We do have buffer yards for visual or physical separation. And we have it set up for various degrees of depth that they are.
So what does the buffer have to be? From their driveway or from the building?
It doesn't say, it's not clearly stated in the code. The building, the setback for the building is 100 feet, period. There's no denying that. The question is, what, with a wooded buffer, and the question is, what does a wooded buffer mean? And somebody other than the ERB is gonna make that determination. However, we can certainly weigh in on what we think. And I certainly think the way it's shown here does not indicate a wooded buffer the whole way
No.
along there.
They took it all out of there.
But I could theoretically plant it back in again, and and they could do that. They have not shown that. I think that needs to be done still.
So this here is how conservation area goes.
Yep, I see what you're talking about, yep.
The person
That's
next door
my
is
yard,
the
and
same
the yard
thing.
next door to me goes right up to the end.
Yep.
Because this is where the leach fields
Uh-huh,
have.
wow, yep, okay.
So, I don't have any tree buffer there for
Yep.
them at all that
Mhm.
are on my property.
Yep.
So,
Yep. So there's no doubt about it, that the applicant has to
how far
provide,
mine goes
a wooden
back
buffer.
compared to everybody else.
And the guy next door does has the
But
same
they
thing.
also have,
That's property line.
Yep,
again, what Chris said, what is a wood buffer?
sure,
Right
and we
there.
kind
100
of,
feet of trees or one tree row, 100 feet?
no, the one tree row is not in there.
Line, the cutback
Okay,
goes always
and what
back
they do
to
is-
the
Over here it says a
I
tree
I
line.
know, and that's a different answer,
Pretty
because that's not
far,
our
but
unit.
the- But the, if you
Over
go
here it's
back to
already-
here.
Yeah, right here it is, right here.
Okay,
it's
so
in.
this is still part of your tree line?
Yeah,
that.
Yep, and the question is, what's between the tree
I
line
don't know
and
how
this?
far because they don't keep theirs
And
clean.
they don't show, they
They're
don't
gonna
show it
wind
at all.
up getting a new septic.
They don't show it here, they don't tell us whether this is really filled in or not, and I don't know the answer.
A layman's interpretation, I am layman on this, when it says 100-foot wooded buffer, I take that to mean that it needs to
depth.
be 100 feet of woods.
Why?
That's
All
what,
the way through,
yes, that's what I take it to
That's what
mean.
I would take it as too. Correct. Not just a tree line up to the 100 foot,
And so I think what
and
we,
then you're mowing.
That would be
80
trees
feet of it.
at 100 feet, that's not 100 feet filled with trees.
pardon?
It's what?
From what I understand, again, as a junior layman, if they say 100 feet of wooded buffer, that's gotta be 100 feet of trees. If not, they would just say at the 100 foot, a line of trees.
No, they don't say either one of that. What they really say is that it has to be 100-foot setback with a wooded buffer, and they leave it with a wooded buffer. So I think what this board wants to say is that we believe that the wooded buffer should be 100 feet. I think is what I'm hearing from everybody else.
I-
The
John?
width of the wooded, yes.
Well, I don't know if 100 feet, but at least substantially more than what they're showing on the plans. You know, we got places here where it's just an existing tree line with everything else, and up here, there's nothing in the back here. It just tapers off also. I mean, I don't know what's in the back here.
I think that's where Sunset Inn and the other one, Trevally Plaza.
Mhm. That's over here.
It's on the other side.
Yep.
Mr.
All right, so-
Chairman,
Either
so-
way, with
go
the
ahead.
100 foot, with the lighting that's gonna be there, you're just gonna see the bow and you're gonna hear the trucks, the backing up.
Sure.
Well, let's go back to the topography though. I think on flat land, 100 feet, well, you know what? That number wasn't grabbed out of the sky. An engineer said that. But I bet if you put an engineer on this and said, does this 100 feet, while it does meet the letter of the law, does it meet the spirit of the law, the spirit of the code? Of course it doesn't, because you're looking straight over the trees to the site. Those trees will not block noise, they will not block visual, they will not block light. So the 100, so when you say we want 100 feet, I want the spirit of the code whereby this buffer will shield the residential neighborhood from the sight, the sound, and the light. Now, when they come back and say, well, we just can't do that, not my problem. You bought the property. You've said it's a difficult property. Yeah, maybe that's the reason it was so cheap. You know, you could put an ice cream stand in there, real easy. Woods won't be a problem, neighbors won't see it, nothing. You wanna put something that doesn't fit there, and that is definitely not a me problem.
And we still don't know what's gonna be in it.
So, right, we don't.
Just a big box.
And we still go, and we go back to the other part of that code, which lends some interpretation to the planning board, or determination from the planning board, is it has to be compatible. And so I think that what this board's saying, I hear, is that if it had 100-foot wooded buffer, 100 foot of it, it would be more compatible than without that.
No, I'm not saying that.
All right,
He's interpreting the law, I'm not saying that at all.
all right, so,
So this doesn't belong here, that's what I'm saying.
They only have 103 feet to the building.
I understand.
If they have to put 100-foot wooded buffer, that road is gone. So where are they gonna come in from?
that's a road for them to get to the
That's the road to get to the parking lot, which means it has to be a minimum 20 foot
Which
wide.
means there's gonna be lights right at the property line also.
It's gonna be lights, 50 feet, 65 feet from the property line, probably. Yeah,
You know, you're gonna have your everyday noise that's there, depending on the hours of operation.
24
But-
hours.
Mm-hmm.
So they know they're gonna use 24 hours, but they don't know what they're gonna put in.
That's exactly what they say, yes.
Okay,
Can I ask
so,
you a question? Oh, no, you go ahead, I'm sorry.
so if they're gonna be using this 24 hours, the size of this facility too, the noise is gonna increase during the winter season for snow plowing. You're gonna have loaders, you're gonna have backhoes, you're gonna have everything going through there. The noise is gonna double. The trees aren't gonna shade that or hide that noise.
There's
Depending on
no,
what they, depending on what they put there as trees, yes.
and there's
It's
no
not gonna
wall
do it.
listed in the new plans. They said they don't need it.
You get 6 or 7 machines all over doing their job where it's supposed to be, those trees are not gonna shield the noise
I
out
don't-
there.
Mhm.
And they especially won't shield the noise because Rolling Ridge and Howard Court are up so much
Correct.
higher
Correct.
that I'm not saying it's their fault that it's down in the valley. I'm saying that's what you bought,
You do
and
it,
if
right?
you can't make it work, move on.
Correct.
Again, put an ice cream stand in there, it'll work just fine.
Put a bakery in there. We need one.
A what?
A bakery.
Yeah.
The thing is, this applicant doesn't make ice cream stands or bakeries, and I understand that, their business is warehouses. And from what I understand, they're good at it. But to come into a town and to buy property for what was, you know, if this was industrial land, and it's not industrial,
No, it's not.
and they've made that mistake and they've said industrial a few times in planning and they were corrected, but it's not industrial, but if it was, it would have cost considerably more. So to ask for changes after the fact and try to turn it into something that it's not, the environmental review board, we are charged with making sure that the planning board knows that this is not compatible with the area, and it's not compatible next to a residential area.
Can I ask a question? So when this land was, given, what do you call that when the?
Zoned?
Zone, industrial, when was
It
that?
was zoned commercial office. right?
Commercial or whatever.
You're right.
When was that done, in the sixties?
2009
No,
was the
Or
last.
2000?
2009 was
yes.
the last update.
Yep.
Okay, so still in 2009. So how is this, it's sort of like they are slipping this by in a way, but when we were at a couple of the meetings and they were bringing that battery storage thing in there, and they decided to put a moratorium on them, why can't we work in that way and think about a moratorium on this? Because the land was really not meant for these
It's-
giant,
Too late.
That's a different board, and yeah, absolutely bring that up to that would be the
Town board.
town board.
um,
And that's,
Tell Marie to talk to Joe, because I've already asked about it
as a,
numerous
yes,
times.
Anna has asked about it,
Mhm.
and,
But it's really not zoned for this kind of a warehouse.
No, it is zoned for this kind of warehouse. Is it appropriate for this kind of warehouse? That's to be determined.
that size you mean, because you
I
could
mean,
put one,
Sure.
So
you
I-
can put one,
Yeah, I mean, a warehouse of some sort that may be compatible there. Okay,
So
so
that-
the zoning use is not necessarily incompatible. What the use is, or what's being proposed maybe.
and to that point, at the last town board meeting, Supervisor, I had a conversation with Supervisor Betra from the podium, and I said, just build it without variances, and he said, Chris, I'll hold you to that. And now I hope he does, because if you build this within variances, and I believe the applicant has the right to develop their property, by all means. And if you can do 200,000 square feet at 35 feet high and put the correct setbacks in there, I can't say boo.
Yes, you can.
Well,
You can
Now-
say,
now
no,
we've got
no,
use-
but the compatibility issue.
compatibility issue, yes,
Compatibility is still a question.
yes.
You wanna know something, Chris? Isaac overheard me talking to Doug Bloomfield, didn't realize he was sitting there. And he heard me say, warehouse is fine
Mhm.
within reason.
Yeah, well, okay, and that's all,
So he knows we're not against a warehouse going there, it's the size.
okay.
When they say 35 feet, is that 35 feet flat, or you have?
Oh, here's more
conditioning?
questions that are great
The
questions.
answer is it's 35 feet from the ground to I believe it's the midpoint of the height of the roof.
And we're talking about average
Great,
Could you explain that a little bit for us?
sure.
Because that's,
You
this
go
is,
all the way around, so yes, it could be taller on one side and not the other side.
so if the back of the building and the ground goes like this, and this ground does slope, so the back of the building is 10 feet, the front of the building is 60 feet, and the sides are something different, and when you average it all together, it comes out to 35 or 45 feet. Yeah, see, it's not, I know. It takes it, and that's why the planning board, Chairman Burgess actually asked the question, how tall is this thing gonna be in the front where people are going to see it? And they did not have that answer, and they will, but, just because it says 35 or 45 feet, no, it could be substantially higher. And look even worse when you put the thing up on a hill and you're looking at it like this from the highway, so.
And then they could put equipment over it, so
They
35
can
feet
put,
is
they,
not the
they can, and in fact,
maximum.
they probably are going to put
They could stretch it
some
even
kind
more
of
higher,
equipment on the roof,
and
yes.
that would be legal.
Yes, it would, because we don't count the height of equipment.
But they want a variance on the pitch too, because they say the pitch
Sure,
is
they
gonna
don't,
make that.
and
way
in
down.
all honesty, you don't want them to do a pitched roof.
Right.
A pitched roof,
You
a
know-
pitched roof on that size is gonna raise the height of the building another 100 feet.
And our code states that the code should be 8 on 12,
Yes. It's steep.
meaning 8 inches for every 12 inches, right? So for go out 12 inches, you gotta be 8 inches high, right? That would be an incredibly steep roof. So the question for me is, why is that in our code? Why is that in our code? Why? Is
Because,
it?
I can tell you why
Tell
we
me.
did it. Because at one point in time, we believed that what we wanted to have is what we considered to be traditional architecture in the town, which is like these flat buildings. We had down, the only flat building we had anywhere in town were down in Morad's at Remy Products. We
Yes.
had no flat roof buildings anywhere in town, and therefore all the old barns and everything else were these pitched roofs.
So you're saying that the master plan, they didn't want warehouses?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying.
That's exactly what it, that's the end result.
No, the original plan when we did it was to go ahead and we had much smaller. We didn't go up, we raised from 2004 when we first put that in there to 2009 when we changed it. We changed the size of the buildings to go up in size.
But it sounds like you care about the esoteric line of the town, that you wanted to protect it and keep it that old-fashioned kind of country
Yes.
look.
Mm-hmm.
But now we can stick warehouses in the middle of it? That doesn't sound like the same thought process.
Well, except that we also had that, we still have it with this, that strange thing that says when you have a large building, you have to break it up so it looks like it's a collection of smaller buildings, which comes up with a freaking goofy looking building.
Also, and went back to your point, I do believe that the original framers of the last time they did this, to my mind, they were protecting the residents by saying, we don't want warehouses or warehouse-looking buildings because it keeps our property values high. That's the net result, right?
Right.
If I really wanted really cheap taxes, I could live in downtown Middletown, I could live in downtown Newburgh or Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah.
I live in Goshen, New York. Our houses are beautiful, we pay the taxes, protect the
The
residents.
town is precious, like that
Okay,
little.
but back to the point where they have to be, it has to be compatible, and I think that's a case to be made still.
And the 8 on 12, they want a quarter on 12, which is essentially a flat roof.
Yeah.
And is that compatible with the town?
And the answer is that you can have that if you have cornices. It is another way to meet our roof code.
To make it look more appealing?
We can put a cornice up on the edge. The one advantage to that is that we would have a 6-foot high cornice, whatever, and most of the equipment, mechanicals, would be behind that and not being seen offset.
When you say cornice, are we talking about like a facade, a fake wall that raises?
Yeah,
above it?
that's not,
Okay.
right, yep.
But it would look better, okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying it wouldn't
The
look
only-
better, that was the intention, it would,
The only time you know it's a flat roof is if you flew over it with a hot air balloon.
right.
Got
If
it.
you live behind it on the hill.
Or if you live behind it on a hill.
Which goes back to
Which is
compatibility
this.
again,
Compatibility.
I think.
The request to reduce the setbacks to the residential neighborhood, again, you're bringing noise right up against the neighborhood, you're bringing light against the neighborhood, you're bringing pollution up against the neighborhood. I don't know if anybody's got behind an 18-wheeler lately, some of them burn super clean. wow, they've done a fantastic job, almost like there's no emissions at all. And other ones, you gotta hold your breath. Now, are they all gonna be clean trucks? Because I don't think so. At the numbers they're talking, there's bound to be some really lousy trucks in there. Just moving them closer to the residents, they're asking for less setbacks, it's a non-starter to me. Absolutely not.
Did they also say at that planning meeting
Oh, no.
that they were taking
All right,
away
Chris.
insulation from the
I
back?
can't wait till you get Tesla trucks, man, there we go.
Never gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
I'm sorry, Marie, what were you saying?
Just saying, didn't they say in the meeting that they revised plans that they took insulation away from the
How
back
you
of the residence?
Good, how are you? Kenny, how are you?
Good.
They took back what from the
That
residents?
they took, I heard them say they were taking insulation out, they were reducing insulation up against the residence yard, and that made no sense to me.
I think we're talking about the setback, right?
I don't know if it's a setback, it just said on whatever they had planned for insulation,
My property
they
borders
cut
the
out
property.
like 80% of it. Was I the only one that heard that?
I didn't miss, if I heard that correctly, it was more the insulation of a setback with a wooded buffer that insulates the neighborhood from noise and pollution and light.
Okay, I still don't understand, why would they
This side.
reduce insulation?
You know what's great? It's on YouTube. We'll go back and we'll find it.
Wouldn't it be in there, oh, you guys wouldn't have that, like, their application or whatever?
What do you want?
I heard them say they were gonna reduce the insulation.
Insulation?
Yeah,
I don't know.
like noise insulation, whatever they were gonna put up.
No,
for noise.
no, I think what they did say is they're gonna reduce the noise barrier.
My property borders
That
in
could
here.
be.
Okay,
that
they
was-
did say that, and they're gonna reduce the noise barrier significantly.
And why would they do that, Neil?
Because they're claiming that, since they don't have the trucks in the back, they no longer have to worry about the noise of the trucks going to the back of the building. They just have to worry about it up here. They still have, they're going from 605 feet of noise barrier down to 181 feet. That's what they're proposing.
It seemed like a lot, like a big reduction.
It is, it's 424 feet of reduction.
Yeah.
But they didn't turn that building, so the trucks are away from the residents.
Well, they turned it, so what they do is they move the stuff back here.
Spoke off from one side, eliminated one side, they didn't turn it.
No, you're right. And so there's still a question of whether or not they need to do more noise barrier than that.
And they brought it closer to the property, because originally it was
You
up
growing?
here,
And not now.
it was the docks, yeah,
Yeah.
it's the docks. Originally it was up here, now it's the whole side.
So this gentleman's property is here,
Yep.
so you know,
Okay,
in this area.
Yeah, it's a 500 foot right there,
okay. You have the whole backside, I think.
the whole backside.
Yeah. And here's the original building.
Right. So this is where the loading, this is where the loading docks are. Now
Right.
they go all the way down.
Yes, they do.
So they took them off the one side because they took the second floor off,
Right, so-
and they added more to the one side.
So the question there is whether or not the noise needs to be redone or reconsidered, because there's gonna be more truck traffic down here, trucks backing up and pulling out and loading up and everything else. Sound fair, Louis?
And is that where they lowered the noise barrier?
No, I think they took the noise barrier off the backside.
Oh, wonderful.
I think they did too, because they put the 100 foot
Yeah.
buffer zone.
Yeah,
But
there's no
the
100
buffer
foot
zone
buffer.
also is gonna be, they want a variance for the buffer zone for the parking lot, the car parking lot.
They want that down to 50 feet.
Yeah, the one part they want a variance for,
Minimum
is,
buffer.
right.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm talked that buffer. There's, on that side, they certainly exceed the setback for the building. And I somehow I think that they allow, actually, they even have the parking lot outside of the 100-foot setback. So you're talking about the barrier now, the wooded barrier.
The wooded barrier, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm almost sure, yeah, because the parking lot, the way they had it before, the parking lot, they wanted a variance, I thought, for the parking lot to come up farther.
I think they did because they were gonna have trucks back there. And they were having trucks all the way back there.
Correct, yeah, right.
So they took the trucks out of there, and all the trucks are here now and then, so they have just the car parking back there.
But a double lane of car parking, so you eliminate the trucks and the cars.
You have 4 of them, right?
Right,
You have 4 lanes of car
so
parking.
nothing
It's like
switched.
167 cars or so.
Yeah, which is an interesting question as to why they need 167 cars, because I think if you take the sewer water calculations, think they only come up with about 135 people. Actually, no, it's 96, no, that's wrong. So I think it's 130 people.
It
If
was
we have
some
130 people,
stupid-
that's over 3 shifts, go ahead.
Yes, it was some stupid figure that they gave on the number of employees total for the 24 hours.
Right. What'd they give you?
I don't have it, it just says
It's
total
gonna be 3
employees
shifts.
per shift, 3 shifts.
Yeah, there's gonna be 3 shifts, and they're showing that they're only gonna have, sewer water demand is gonna be 2,040 gallons.
For closer to,
Generally, a person working in a building is considered to have, unless they're doing something different,
yes,
they are considered to use 15 gallons a day. So that would be a total of 136 people over 3 shifts, is what it should be.
130,
136, if 15 gallons per day per person is correct, then that would mean that you'd have 136 people working the 3 shifts.
so that's
Well, each shift.
technically about 45 people a
That's
shift.
right.
And they got 33 loading docks and 28 trailer storage.
Right, and then they have,
Office space too, don't
You need a couple of guys to
they have
unload the truck.
167 parking spaces. It seems like excessive parking spaces.
But the shifts to overlap, I mean, it's.
Sure, so if I have, so let's say I have a smaller shift, the graveyard shift.
Yeah.
So I might have 50 people, and then 30 people, something like that. So you'd have to have 100 parking spaces, something like that. But I don't see 164.
You won't. When was the last time you went to warehouse and everything was just stacked inside?
So you think they're gonna have everything stored outside?
Not everything,
No, or things.
but a lot of overflow
Yeah.
goes outside. We see that with the old, he put ceiling containers in the back of his building on 17 M.
Okay.
The furniture, the old furniture place.
Furniture place, and then we also have it for the
Right.
motorcycle place, yeah.
So why not give myself extra spot, label it as parking, and then the overflow? And another thing with most warehouses is that they have a loading dock ramp to come outside and load and offload trucks outside, and I don't see a ramp here.
No, they're not proposing a ramp.
They're not proposing it.
Right.
They're not listed.
Okay, so certainly, I think we're questioning the amount of parking spaces, and therefore, it looks like it could eliminate all the parking, most of the parking spaces next to the, closest to the property line.
And it gives him his buffer.
It gives a big more, right? Correct.
You'd have a true 100-foot buffer then in the woods.
Yeah. Certainly, we're gonna question the amount of parking spaces proposed.
Right, it's 34 you said per shift.
Well, it comes out to be 133, 134 people working there each day.
So even if you figured 45,
Half, right. You can divide that parking lot in half and still have the overflow for changing shifts.
I don't disagree. It would certainly seem like it would make more sense if we had less destruction of the existing landscape, trees.
They're just taking the numbers from the code, though, so many parking spaces for.
Probably for the size of the,
They know what they wanna do with this building, they're just not letting us know.
no, I think the answer, I think you're probably right, and certainly one of the big trends right now is automated warehouses. In which case, we do have
Less people yet.
even far, right, so that may be why they're looking at 35, 40 people per shift. Because if it's all automated, you only need that many.
then you don't need 167
Right.
parking spaces.
So I think it has to be consistent somehow. All right, Chris, you got more?
I'm good.
Go ahead, anybody else? John?
How would, when the trucks come in, they're gonna go right into here then, basically?
In there, turn around over here and then try back in.
Oh.
Or they come back right into one of these spots right away, I think, without turning around, can't you, Louis? If I was pulling in, if I knew I had to back into here, I could do it, just backing in right away, or back into here to drop a trailer, no?
No,
The other
no.
question is,
No,
what was
Because you don't
it
wanna back up on your blind side.
Yeah, I know.
with the thing on Newlytown Road? What was the question on that? Wait time to get to the,
The wait time, trucks lining up with the wait time, somebody brought up.
yeah,
Somebody on the
what,
board.
what was that
Queuing
called?
on
Queuing.
seven.
Queuing.
Queuing on seven.
Where are they gonna queue
If they have to.
if they have to?
Yeah, theoretically, well,
That's the empty parking spots that they should be parking and waiting, theoretically.
Well, in Montgomery, they just queue right down Neelytown Road.
Well,
All
that's
the way
what
to the
somebody
highway.
said the other
Because
night.
there's no way, because that's just how warehouses work.
Correct.
so
Correct.
the other way for us to, a suggestion on our part would be to get signage along the road, no parking, no stopping
No.
or standing.
They probably won't park
They don't
on
have
to them,
to.
what she's saying is that they're probably gonna
Sure.
park on the roadway across their house, coming in.
Yeah, and then everybody, depending on whether they have reefers or not.
And the width of the road, so now it's actually 3 trailer widths wide,
Mm-hmm.
if not more.
There should be no queuing, we're gonna suggest no queuing on the truck, no queuing of the trucks on the driveway.
And no queuing on 17M, which,
That's all signage, I think we can.
What about their idle time? They park in the parking lot, they'll sit there and run for hours.
Yep.
we've talked about that too. And we do actually have an ordinance in the town.
There's an ordinance in the state that you can't have your diesel trucks idling, except, go ahead, Louis. You know better than I do. Refrigerator trucks,
Yeah.
refrigerator trucks are allowed to run.
Trailer.
Refrigerator trucks, right, it's a
That's
fear if the guy has to sleep in the cold while the reefer's still running.
Mhm.
Right, I understand.
And what about the emergency exit?
Let's go to emergency exit, okay? Emergency exit. I think that the emergency exit is going on to somebody else's property.
Yeah.
That's its own house, yeah.
No, it's not.
It
Yeah,
is,
it
going out
is, it's
into
going
the,
through,
they wanted to.
It was where the dome houses
Sunset.
See
was.
that
Right here,
Yeah, right, now go up that way, and that goes out that way onto the adjacent property, which they don't own. They wanna share that with Quality
So
Inn.
the answer really needs to be, I think, is one, they have to show that they in fact can do that, and that the neighboring property is giving them permission to do that, number one. Number two, I think they also have to design it, because there's no guarantee that that property is gonna be, developed prior to this being built.
Right.
And therefore, they have to show the design for that driveway, and have the,
Prove that they have a right of way.
that they have the right of way, and if the neighbor will accept the way they're designing the driveway. Because we also have to make sure the slope is good enough.
Yeah.
Because it's also gonna be emergency fire trucks in and out. And the last item on that is that our code says that, access to CO and HC zones cannot be through RU property. Which means that it can't be back up there, it has to be down here further.
All right, hang on, where's that map? So what is, this is, and they're talking about coming through here, so this is CO, this is.
Right here, they're showing it not. Right here, they're showing it not.
So this piece,
Maybe not, maybe I'm wrong.
so they're
That's
still
his
on their property.
This would be, no, this is
You're
my
here.
property. This would be, let's see, this is mine, yeah, because my property comes over this way.
Your property line, so all right, so maybe
It'll
this
end
CO.
here.
So it
I have a
stays
field
CO,
pipe.
Okay, so it stays CO, they never might have it.
But it-
They can go through there.
but it stays CO.
Right, but the
Okay.
road has to go through the other property.
Yeah, that's, the road would come up right out.
Yeah, it's gonna come out into the other, no doubt about it.
Right to what though?
So the whole, my statement about the
To what
RU,
is it going on? Maple?
no, it's gonna go on to Golden State.
It would, emergency exit would come right out in here.
So the RU zone is incorrect, I'm wrong on that, but we are right about it being on the neighbor's property. And the RU, the neighbor's property is gonna have to allow that.
Imagine that.
And they're gonna have to design it, I think
Look
that
at
this,
this mountain right here,
yeah.
because when that goes in, that's a direct view of my backyard. I'll see that whole time, each day.
So that they're gonna have to design this driveway to show that
What are you
design
planting?
can work and will work, and they can put it up before the
Take away this bunch of hogs and.
And it would have to be built with this,
Right,
you know, we can't,
And
you-
does the
Because the
hotel
fire
want
risk
to
or
do
comes
that?
as soon as you have the
Don't
building
wanna
up.
go to a hotel and
not
stare
when you
at
have it
the
occupied.
yeah.
I agree.
Look right
So
out
the-
that back door and I'll stare at the warehouse. I
I
can see where Amy's kitchen was
When they put this
going.
road in, when they start bringing trucks up there,
See that?
that's when they put that road in, because I listen, emergency services need to get up there as they're building some kind, when the construction gets injured, I need ambulance in there, I need rescue.
Right, but theoretically, just because if I'm doing site work, we don't have the fire code kick in necessarily. I think once you start doing the building, you have to do it. The building is the trigger.
And I do believe they said that's a state code,
Yes, it is.
so their problems with the state, not even us.
Except that we can't go ahead and allow it if they don't have it. They could theoretically go to the state and ask for some kind of variance.
And if the state granted them the variance,
Then we have to agree, that no longer becomes a requirement of the fire code. We can still make it a requirement of the
that's.
local code, but it's no longer a requirement, they're getting it as a requirement of the fire code.
And what if the property owner next door doesn't agree to it?
Right.
Then they're stuck making it a smaller building. It triggers because of the size of the building. And I forget whether it's 150,000 square feet or something like that. But it's so much of a size building without a sprinkler, so much bigger with a sprinkler.
Because I don't think a hotel is gonna want extra traffic, because you know people, they'll go up and down that driveway all the time.
And theoretically, though, it could be emergency access, so that they don't have to go past the hotel with the tractor trailers while people are in the pool, but you can do it.
That's actually a problem they're creating, not something.
Yeah, but if the neighbor wants to give it to them for whatever amount of money, give us $500,000, then we'll let you do it, or claim it. That may be, but that's not they have to come in, I think they should come in and show that they haven't, in fact, some kind of contract or agreement written up that's legally binding. Then I think they also will have to design that driveway.
And can you think of another place in the town where we have this, where the emergency access is off of an adjacent unowned property? I'm trying to think of.
No, I do know that Legoland had to go with the other entrance out to Arcadia Road.
Right.
Because of this issue.
But they own it.
But they own
They
it,
owned it, right, yes.
and they had to buy it.
They put that with the whole thing. right?
Yeah, but,
Yes.
all right, so,
I don't know of anything like this. We do have similar kind of situations where we had some subdivisions that had to have another way out. And they ended up, with that property, it ended up being that if that next door property ever got done, the road has to go through.
yeah,
Of course, the problem with that always is that when the people move into the first development and have a dead end road, they like it.
sure.
They don't ever want it to go through.
Yeah, I get it.
We have that.
I can't see how they would put it on top of the hill anyway, because that grade on that hill is pretty steep.
Sure, going down there, it's gonna be a real challenge making something work.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
So in order for this to move forward, they pretty much have to have the permission of this property.
I think so. Otherwise,
So-
we can't approve, we can't I can't say we can't approve, we can approve it, but Frank can't give them the building permit for that size building.
So aren't they kind of putting the cart before the horse and saying, hey guys, look at what I wanna do, I don't know if I'm allowed to do that, and then we're back to square one again?
Sure, and so that, I think we're bringing it up now to say, look, we think that should be a trigger right now. Otherwise, it's the size of the building and everything else we're considering is not enough, not good enough.
Like Chris said with the first proposal, it's done, it's gone. Okay.
I don't think they would have enough room on the bottom there's not enough right of way in the bottom of the building, is it? Down
The
towards the main
next
road?
door, the next parcel, I don't know, I forget how
I mean, the
wide.
same parcel, but down farther towards the 17.
Oh, you mean on this parcel?
Yeah.
No, it has to be, because it has to be at least 1/3 of the way across the largest part of the property. Which means 1/3, they can't get there.
Yeah.
Is this still just the small one?
Pardon?
Are we talking about?
We're still on the small one only.
Jeepers Creepers, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else on this? I have concerns about the water being from an unknown source and an unknown entity and everything.
Yeah, there's the
else.
whole thing.
We won't go there.
In their plans, they actually say that they're counting on a municipal water source.
Yes.
That simply does not yet exist. I don't know if it will or not, but it doesn't
Water and
exist
sewer.
yet.
Water and sewer is correct.
Water and sewer.
So what's the potential tank and pump house location for?
Well, they're not proposing anything, right? That is for the sprinkler system. Yeah, if they have to have a sprinkler system, they have to have enough water on standby, and then they have to have a fire pump it under fire conditions. we have a number like that. Morad has one at his property, Hacienda has one at his property. It's not that uncommon.
You know,
So they're building under the zoning that's incorrect, and they're asking for a variance, and they need water and sewer.
It doesn't exist.
Just that doesn't exist, and that still doesn't tell them that doesn't belong here.
They're, I think, that the way they're proposing it is, I think that they are,
Could they be putting in a water system to make the property?
they are proposing, so one of the questions I have,
Proposing it, they're paying for it. Could they just come and say, I'm gonna pay for it? We'll do it that
To
way?
do a water and sewer district,
Or the end?
that would be called a transportation district.
they're a transportation corporation.
A transportation corporation, which is, when private entities pay for just that, they pay for their water and sewer, which, my understanding was, in around about 2003, there were a few businesses in town that came to the board and said, we want to set up a transportation district. Correct me if I'm wrong, I wasn't there for the meeting, but they came in and they wanted to do that, and the town said, no, we got plans in the works, so sit tight. So that's.
I don't remember sit tight on the plans and works, but, you know, in general, the concern municipalities have about transportation corporations is that they work for a while, and then if the person in charge of it doesn't do what they need to do, the thing goes belly up, and we end up being dumped on.
A lot of the towns doing such a great job with what they have.
We did take over, like Scotchtown was originally owned by a private person. They didn't maintain it the way they should have, they had all kinds of problems there, and the Department of Health pretty much told us we should take it over. We did in fact take it over.
And we poured a ton of money into it.
However, we, meaning the people in that district.
The people within the water district, which is now the combined water
Overall,
district.
Right, which you know you don't belong to, but yeah, everybody belongs to it. Everybody who has water, municipal water in town is the same district now.
We're on well and septic, and
Right, you don't have that.
so we don't pay for it. But there is this thing with the commercial water district, which the town is supposed to get paid back if it goes through, and if it doesn't go through, we don't have answers on that yet.
Yeah, we eat it. No, we eat it.
We eat it, we eat
And are
it.
there wells there that they could, if they can't get
They,
this
they have
magical
not,
water
they
system?
have not done that. That certainly is a possibility that it could be required that they prove, in fact, they could survive on their own sewer and water. But we have not done that, we have not said that.
And a building that big, if they went in and tried to get their own water, does that hurt my water around the
If-
corner?
The answer is we don't know. Theoretically, you know, if this is a large enough piece of property that if we were to put houses here, we could probably put 5 houses, which would be close to the 2,000 gallons that they're talking about. So that theoretically, we think overall in our zoning that it would be adequate for that. But it has not been tested. Under our zoning for a house, it would have to be tested.
And would you know if a property this size or a project this size, could they drop multiple wells if necessary? Or does it have to be just one well? It could be,
No, it could be 2 wells.
could it be more than that? Do we know?
I don't know the answer to that. In general, we would be surprised if they had to go 3 wells. 2,000 gallons a day is not a big number. I mean, you take that out to, you need 100 gallons an hour, that's less than a gallon a minute. So it's around a gallon a minute, okay? But it's not a big number for us.
No,
Okay?
and that's what
What
there's,
are the homeowners?
Homeowners, you're way below that. Normal house, 400, say figure 400 gallons a day.
Yeah, but then you think about they wanna use the water, and then the hotel wants to come in.
Oh, no,
and
no.
then Lucas wants to
Oh, no,
come in.
cumulative impact is huge. I'm not denying the cumulative impact of everything. I'm just saying on this particular property with 20 acres, theoretically, 5 houses would be 400 gallons
But you
each.
wouldn't approve 5 houses unless you knew they could sustain.
No, we'd have to go and do the testing.
Be testing.
No doubt about it.
and again, that's based on 2,000 gallons a minute, but they don't even know what they're gonna use the building for. So if they try to get somebody that needs more water,
Well, we know that they're proposing it for warehousing only, and they're proposing it for 2,000 gallons a day, because they're only gonna use, whatever, 30 people per shift.
and if you're storing nuts and bolts in that building, then yeah, you don't need any water. But if somebody comes in and wants to do something else, light manufacturing,
That
food
light
preparation.
manufacturing is not warehousing, you're right.
Or slaughter poultry.
Yep.
I don't think, I think you said something a little bit before, Louis, I don't think that it's a coincidence that these 2 warehouses came back days after the town has applied for, to the state for the commercial water district.
Or has heard supposedly.
Well, I haven't seen the plans yet, still waiting, but, yeah, I don't think it's coincidence.
No, no,
I
no,
think
it-
conversations have been had and the
Certainly,
town is.
they are of the impression that town is going to go forward with that.
They are, the town is definitely going forward with it, they've told us, They just-
Right.
can't get a hold of the map plan and report.
Okay, so another issue I have on page 2 of this, the other local agencies, the stormwater administrator should be listed as another local agency. He's responsible for the SWIP and the stormwater side, as opposed to the state for the stormwater general permit. We now are, as an MS4, are responsible for that. So I think that lucky Frank has that responsibility. Besides the building department for the building permits, he also has a stormwater administrator for the SWIP and the stormwater issues
So the SWIP should be handled by
Frank. Right, and usually what I always did, and that is to hand it over to some engineer to do all the calculations and make sure it's done. But yes, Frank is the one who has to sign off and say, yes, it's good.
What about the variance for the wetlands that they have?
Variance for the wetlands is, I think they're not asking for a variance, I think they're gonna, if they're saying a 0.1% or whatever, that's less than what you need to go anywhere. You can get that under a general permit from the federal government. The question is gonna be, do they really stay under that 0.1? If they go over the 0.1, then they have to mitigate it somewhere. You have to make up wetlands, I think 2 for 1 or 3 for 1. So if you go disturb 0.2 of an acre, you have to make up a half an acre or 0.6 of an acre. So yes, they may get that. And that's gonna determine, based on grading and how much grading they have to do, and, because you don't just put a road that's 20 foot wide and do all the slopes and everything else. But it may be that.
I have an odd question for you with the stormwater,
Yep.
whatever ponds that they have.
Yep.
Isn't that gonna breed mosquitoes?
Actually, no, if it's deep enough, it's gonna be okay. We have that everywhere in town, well, not everywhere.
Well, I know they have them, but
Yeah, but, and it's not that big of an issue, it's more of an
they
issue
don't properly.
with no, because if you get a rippling in the water, from what I understand, the mosquitoes don't breed there. So I've been told. Page 3 under zoning, is a zoning change requested as part of the proposed action? And they say no, and I'm not sure whether a variance is a zoning change. Certainly, it's a zoning change for that property, but.
Which goes back to my point previously, is that what they're asking for creates a new zone. It's something so far outside of what it is now, that you've created something. In other words, that height variance that they're requesting, going from 35 to 45 feet on a 200,000 square foot building, that's a 500% increase from the HC, 440,000 square foot. That's not a variance, man, that's a change in zone, and it's a zone that doesn't even exist right now. So I agree with you, I think it's,
I think it is a variance, it's gonna be an area variance based on the fact that it's numbers, and it's gonna be taken up for a variance. Now, there's all kinds of arguments to be made at the ZBA for that, or against that, or whatever. And I think even the town, the planning board, it is at least possible, I think, that I could, as a planning board member, think that if the building stays at 35 feet tall, it's compatible with the neighborhood. But if you raise it up to 45 feet tall, it's gonna be incompatible. That change could make it, bring up the incompatibility issue. I don't know, I'm not making that argument. But I think that certainly should be a consideration.
and to that point, I think that what you've done with a building that's 200,000 square foot at 35 foot high can be used for, like we said before, it's farming, it's storage of onions or whatever it is, and you got a couple of trucks coming in and out a week. When you put this thing to 45 feet high, now you have the ability to make it a warehouse with a peak of 131 trucks per hour, which is the number they're proposing. It's a whole different animal, and that's where the incompatibility comes from, putting that next to the RU.
Yeah. Actually, they knocked the peak down. The peak hour before was 113, the peak hour now is 71.
Okay, that's on this one, the other one's more,
Yeah,
but okay.
Yeah, but it's still a big number, 71
Yeah, and
during the peak hours,
that's,
that's one every minute.
that's actually another thing that we're gonna bring up later, is that, we're talking about these like they're two separate projects, but when you're talking about stuff like truck traffic, you're putting two of them right next to each other, it's essentially the same site.
And no, I think you haven't expanded it out far enough. I think that RDM is actually discussing 3 projects.
Yeah,
On this
2602, across the street.
Mhm.
Yep.
No.
Which is only 5
That
spots
account
and
for
3
that.
workers or 30 workers?
What you're throwing in here is also Amy's Kitchen property. So RDM has that application too, I believe.
At least the Amy's Kitchen property is out in the industrial, but,
But
okay.
nevertheless, when you're talking about
The
cumulative
cumulative
impacts,
effect on ski
cumulative
course.
impacts now we're talking about, because they're talking more numbers of trucks down there
I know,
than Amy's Kitchen did.
I
And
know,
I
now
got
we have
one
that.
more for you, Condemn, the
Okay.
winery.
Right, but.
they
Right
haven't
up
even
the
started
block.
working.
And then when
Right up
Amazon
the
comes
block
in,
from them. That's village, but it's still on the same street.
Yes, it is, and certainly they have to consider that, along with all the ones that are on Police Drive too. They have to consider that, and
Mhm.
they do have to consider it, and they did the last time.
They haven't considered that these trucks aren't allowed on half the roads for weight.
Yep, and
Maximum
they really
weight.
can't fit on Police Drive either, not from the one side. On page 4, the number of structures, they have 3, one other, yet they show potential for at least 3. The water tank and the pump house.
Oh, I didn't know they counted as separate structures.
Well, if they have them built separately, you're not part of it, I think it's. They talk about impoundments of water, and all of them are the volume to be determined, the acreage to be determined, the height to be determined, and the length to be determined. I think that the project really can't go forward without knowing what the size of these stormwater ponds is gonna have to be. If they have to be any bigger than what they are, we may not be able to fit them on the property. So I think that needs to be determined before they can go much further along. On the project operations, on page 4, they talk about excavation and whether or not there's gonna be any kind of materials moved off-site, or if everything's on-site. And they didn't show any calculations for that. They're claiming that they're not gonna take any dirt off this property, and yet they haven't shown what it's gonna do as far as grading, how much soil has to be moved around to make the parking areas work, the warehouse work, and the stormwater ponds work. So I think that needs to be done sooner rather than later. Because if we're gonna have a lot of, and we did with Amy's Kitchen, or not Amy's Kitchen, Legoland, we had a lot of soil leaving the property, and a lot of soil that had to be moved around and dumped on the property. So we need to get that determined. Apparently, and it makes sense to me now, it makes sense to me then, the size of the material, if you pull out 100 yards of material, it no longer is 100 yards, it's 100 plus. Because once you start loosening it up, it doesn't compact the same way it did before.
I believe in the original plans, they're going to combine the construction dirt from the 2 buildings.
Well, if I'm the project next door, and that might be, but I still need, then we should consider that. Because it has to happen as a one parcel or one project then. I think so. The wetland and water body which will be affected, no alteration or increase or decrease in the size or encroachment of a wetland. So they talk about having extra water go to the wetland. And wetlands are a certain type of wetland or whatever, based on how much water they get into it, how much water is, how often the water's there, how much is sitting there, what period of time it sits there. I don't know if any of that's been calculated, number one. Number two is that wetland goes right up to the property line and just stops there. if you're adding more water to the wetland, I think you're gonna add more water to the neighboring property. Whether it's, how much more water's gonna run off, or how much longer it runs off. If water's running onto my property now 10 days a year, that's different from if the water's running onto my property 30 or 40 days a year. And so that does make a difference, and that should be determined as to what kind of impact it's gonna happen to the neighbor's property there.
It would only make sense, when you're talking about a roof that big on that building, and the parking lot, impervious surfaces, sure,
Yeah.
you're absolutely gonna fill the wetlands. And where is it going, you're right.
Yeah, it's gonna, I don't know, at one point in time, I know they were talking about having wetlands, the water go off the side of our property too, over this way.
That's uphill, how are you making it go uphill?
I think they had at one point in the past. Okay.
It's a magic hill.
Like you said, with the wetlands, it's a certain type of water for moisture for a certain climate.
Yeah, if you go.
Pouring water in there, you're making it flooded, so
Sure.
something like a turtle,
May
that's
or
a
may not-
land turtle.
It may lose its habitat, there's no doubt about it. Depth of water means everything. If you look at the wetlands between Gillies and the village on the left-hand side, you can see the change in the vegetation there. You have different cattails and different vegetation. That's based on the depth of the water and everything.
Right.
So you may totally change that wetland because of that.
Now, that would be with the state.
DEC.
I'm not sure if the DEC is gonna consider that, because the DEC generally looks at 10.6 acres or 13.6. It may be an Army Corps, which may be the impact you're gonna have to it. So the question, to your question before about whether or not they're gonna impact the wetlands or the existing wetlands and disturb it, the question becomes, if they do have to disturb more than the 0.1 acres, where are they gonna do the mitigation? Where on this property are they gonna make additional wetlands?
Maybe they'll ask the neighbor where the road is going.
Yeah, just run it down the road. We're back to the water issue, and they have, I guess they're gonna get water from somewhere. There is no district at this point in time. Then they're gonna run the sewer to the town of Goshen sewer plant. And that's listed as existing, and I don't know where that is.
The town doesn't have any sewage treatment.
Town has absolutely no sewer treatment plant. We don't, or any of our sewer treatment plant stuff, material goes to the village. Down by Morad, he has his own sewer treatment plant, I believe. Okay, then we talk about, stormwater runoff. If surface waters, if it's gonna run to surface waters, where's it gonna go to? It's gonna run to surface water, on-site wetlands. So we just raised the question about the on-site wetlands. And will the stormwater runoff flow onto adjacent properties? And the answer is yes. So I think we need to talk about, the impact to adjacent properties because of their additional stormwater. And the law is that you can't increase the flow going off the property. So if I have 10 acres or 10 gallons a minute going off the property now, I have to keep it at 10 gallons a minute. But it does allow me to go for a much longer period of time. So I can run 10 gallons a minute for 5 days straight now, and it's still considered to be in compliance, pretty much. Will the proposed action have any source of air emissions, fuel combustion, waste incineration, or processing? They identify, and so I think they should do a little bit better, showing it that they have power generators stationary there, they have vehicles having air pollution problem questions. Maybe they should be providing some kind of plugins for the, can you do that, Louis? Plugins for trucks. instead of leaving them running.
Charger, you mean? Like
Pardon?
a charger?
No, not a charger, but to have them, like, if I had a refrigeration unit, could I
Some-
run it over?
Some run on both, some run
Yeah.
on diesel and run on
Right,
electrical.
I would think so, so I think that we should certainly, should be considering that to eliminate the impact to the residential neighbors. Can you do that, anything with the,
Like an RV hookup, but
yeah,
you're talking about, you know, and yeah, you may reduce the diesel particulate, but you still got the noise just of a reefer truck going,
Yeah.
so.
so maybe that should be, reefer trucks, if there's all gonna be, it should be further away. Make them the first 10. Any problem with that, Louis? You do more truck driving than I do.
Well, I mean, the reefer units have changed from years ago. Back in the day, yes, it was diesel and electric. Today, the trailers are more, if they're refrigerated, they're more insulated, they don't tend to run as often. The reefer trailers are designed to maintain the temperature, not take something warm and cool it for hours.
Yeah.
All right, so one or two trailers isn't gonna impact that much. 20, 30 of them will. As far as the tractors, there's no regulating that on private property. There really is not.
No, we're not gonna, the police are not gonna go on the property, look at it further.
Correct. So if it's winter time, then, and they're sleeping in there, yes. Again, we don't know what this is gonna be.
Yep.
So is it gonna be over-the-road truck drivers waiting there to be unloaded, or is it gonna be day cabs running from warehouse to warehouse, just switching out containers?
Yeah.
We're going into this blind, and we're wasting a lot of time
So
when
let's-
they're not telling us what
so-
exactly is
So
going in here.
What's last, and what kind of vehicles are gonna be coming in?
Are you allowed to?
And you're
ask them?
believing them. Seriously.
I believe everybody.
I'm not gonna tell you what you wanna hear, Neil.
Well, the answer is we need to make some kind of determination.
Can you hold them to the determination then?
No, that's exactly
Well,
Louis'
the
point.
answer is yes,
They'll tell you anything.
The answer is yes, you could, but enforcing it's gonna be difficult.
Right. You're still lying awake at night listening to a truck and smelling diesel. That's the
Exactly.
bottom line.
With a glow out your back
Well,
window.
that doesn't sound very compatible.
No, it doesn't. That's what I'm saying. It does not belong here.
Okay,
So-
on page 7, we're talking about peak traffic. And the peak traffic is expected to be morning, evening, but not weekends. However, on another document, it shows that they're gonna be open, right at the bottom of this, they're gonna be open Monday, Friday, 24 hours, Saturday, 24 hours, Sunday, 24 hours, holidays, 24 hours. So it's gonna be weekends also, number one. Number two is for commercial activities, projected number of trucks, trips per day. 120 total semi-trailers, 60 entering and 60 exiting per day. However, on their sheet that they gave us comparing what they proposed and what they do now, they're telling us on the one that the peak hour is gonna be 71 in the morning
Right.
and 71 in the afternoon, which is already exceeding the 60 by 11 trailers. That's assuming nobody else arrives or leaves outside of that one peak hour. So that needs to be worked on somehow or other.
How is it only 1 hour as a peak hour?
Pardon?
How is it only 1 hour as a peak hour?
Well, that,
If you go down 17A, starting around 3
no,
o'clock.
they're saying their peak hour for their trucks going in and out is gonna be this one, maybe 7 or 8 in the morning. So they will have 71 trucks coming in, or whatever, trucks coming in and going out, 71 of them. That's what they're saying, except on this other page, it's saying they're only gonna have 60 in a day. So we could have, theoretically, we could have 71 trucks, 35 coming in, 35 going out on the peak,
Mhm.
and then the rest of the day, maybe only 20 in, 20 out. Louis?
So we're back to queuing.
At any point, did this go in front of the state for 17? I don't know how they're gonna have a turning lane or a center lane.
Well,
The
that's what
the answer is they did on the original application,
Okay.
and they do have some proposed left turn lane, left turn lane, left turn lane. Well,
But this is gonna be the same thing as a 17M flex. The state says, yeah, you should do this, and we own the road, and we'll get to it when we get to it, and the town says, okay, go ahead and build 17M flex, and
This
the
was,
state gets to.
Because right now, people are still going over the W line both directions on Hartley Road.
okay.
Yeah.
So you've got that much traffic going in and out.
This project did propose that they were going to build from Hartley Road at least down to, past this project.
But when?
It was
Not
gonna-
once they're up and running for 4 or 5
Okay.
years.
No, I would think that that would have to be mandatory, that it'd be done in conjunction with,
But going back to.
kind of like the same thing as Amy's Kitchen, I'm sorry, Legoland did. Legoland had to have everything built before they could open up.
Well, 17M Flex faces this pretty much same problem, where the state said, yes, left turning lane would be appropriate, and we agree, but the applicant said, well, we can't wait on the state to do that, we don't know when they'll ever get to it, so the town has to let them go ahead and build.
I think the answer is no to that one, but anyhow, this one, this,
Well, can the answer be no to this then?
I think that, yeah, but I think that this project was proposed because of this project and the one right next to it, that they were gonna actually build these, make the improvements.
But they can't, the state owns the road.
No, the state was gonna give permission, the state owned Legoland, the roads for Legoland too, the state owned 17, the state owned the side road, the state owned everything, and the state said, look, in fact, what happened is the applicant designed it for the state gave the approval, and they said, go ahead and build it.
So
And
how
the
come
state
Flex
inspected
did
it. Pardon?
How come Flex didn't do it?
I don't know the answer to that.
I think Legoland was a different animal too, the state very much wanted that project.
Sure, but in fact, the state didn't build it all, the bulk of that was paid for by Legoland. I'm gonna say 25 million was Legoland and 15 million might have been the state.
Well, you say bulk of, there's still 15 million
I
from the state.
understand that,
That's a
but
big
that
chunk.
was the state, and the state also needed to do that, to eventually make 17 an industry.
So to your knowledge, you're saying that RDM is talking about paying for and making these improvements on 17M with the state's blessing?
Yes.
Okay.
That I think is what's been expressed. If I'm wrong, I will come back and apologize.
Okay.
But yes, that is, I think, what they were proposing originally.
Mhm.
And I've seen it, we have the designs from their old application. All right, so again, now I'm back to this, parking spaces, they show 167 parking spaces, and I'm still asking, why do we need to have 167 parking spaces when we only have 135 employees, 24 hours a day?
Didn't they only drop it by one, right? I think they only dropped it by one parking space.
Yeah, they dropped it very little.
Yeah.
I forget what they dropped it 3 spaces. 3. Okay. Will the proposed action include access to public transportation accommodations for the use of hybrid, electric, or alternative fuel vehicles? And they say yes. So the question is, where? Are they just talking about having plug-in cars? Or are they talking about, sooner or later it would make sense if some of these places provided bus stops for people to come to work. Maybe. But anyhow, they don't show anything like that. They say yes, they do it, but they don't show it. And will the proposed action include plans for any pedestrian or bicycle accommodations for connections to existing pedestrian and bicycle routes? They say no, and yet we require that the front have a sidewalk or a bike path along the road. I think they have to do that anyhow. And the next thing down here, we get to the estimated annual electricity demand during operation of the proposed action to be determined. I think they have to determine how much electricity they're gonna need, so they can figure out whether or not, in fact, O&R or NICIG or whatever can provide the utilities they need. I certainly know that Amy's Kitchen had that done, and then I know that prior to dropping their project, they had learned from NICIG that NICIG was not gonna be able to give them all the gas they needed to end up building out their home project. So they were not gonna be able to cook the way they thought they could have cooked. But the question here is there enough capacity for electric and gas if they're gonna use gas for any reason? Is there enough capacity existing? Are they going, is somebody gonna have to upgrade the gas or water, air, or the electric lines? And the last issue, I think, is the whole automation idea of warehouses. Everybody is automating, which takes less people, but a lot more electricity. So the question here really is, are we gonna look at really something automated? How much electricity is that gonna take? Is there capacity there? And the last thing is, one of the issues, and I'm not sure this is big enough to be that issue, but one of the issues around data centers and all that is that they're sucking up so much electricity that the electric rates for everybody around them is going up.
I have another thing for you too.
What?
They run off battery.
They run up batteries. Certainly, there's gonna be some of them off battery here, some of the robots or whatever.
Mhm.
And in fact, I can tell you that my wife has been looking at this stuff on stupid TV for, I know more about automation than I wanna know.
I actually
There's at
watched
least
the
3 or 4 different
video.
kinds.
I actually watched the video.
Yeah,
They either gotta charge them,
yeah,
the robots, or they gotta have extra batteries.
right. Or they go and do other things and they have tracks or whatever it is. And some of them go 3 dimensions and it's amazing stuff. I fall asleep to many copies of it. But yes, there is a significant thing and there is a significant number. Do we really have to worry about electric capacity and the impact to neighbors as far as their electric? Next page, page 8, they talk about the mounting heights of the lights, anywhere between 15 and 30. I'm not sure 30 is a permitted height. I thought everything had to be below that. And one of the problems with that, I think, is that in where they have tractor trailers, you really can't stick lights in the middle of that. So sometimes to get the light out there so people can see while they're walking during this time of year, you may need to have more than what we allow. I know they did that across the way for some of them, but anyhow.
And while you're there, now we're talking about the lighting height being against the RU district, that just,
Yes.
it's incompatible.
If they have to go that way,
If
the
they-
answer is it may be very much incompatible. And it's, whether it's lighting poles or where they're gonna mount it on the building even, that becomes an issue.
Actually, all the lights should face the building,
I think they should, absolutely, I don't think they should be mounted on the building, they should face the building.
face the
No,
Go ahead, Louis. Right.
good what? You can't, you won't be able to see what you're hitting. It has to be on the building if you're backing up to the building.
Okay.
It being in front of you literally blinds you
Yeah, you're
sometimes.
Well, I would say up in the parking lot. Parking lot,
In
they
the-
put the parking lot.
in the cars.
Yeah, for the cars.
Right, we were saying about the trucks
Yeah,
on
yeah.
that side,
Yeah.
up against the
No, I
building.
understand what you're saying, yeah.
Thank you,
No.
you're right.
Now, the road coming in, will there be lights along there?
Probably for safety.
Sure, you have to.
Yeah.
Why do
Gotta
we
turn
have,
night into day out there.
why do we have to have lights along the driveway? Because I guarantee my road by the farm has no lights. I'll guarantee my road by my house has no lights.
It's a road, it's not your private property.
But, so why does a driveway have to have that and if my road doesn't?
Safety?
I
Why is it safer for a more safety for the driveway than it is for the roads?
I'm not saying it is or it's not.
You're talking about running this thing 24/7, so you're talking about overnight operations, and we're talking very big vehicles, and we're talking about a lot of them. So we're not talking about one car coming down a rural road, overnight, we're talking about a lot. And it is really, really dark out there, I think you'd absolutely need lights for safety. Every truck stop has lights, every way station, when you pull into the way station on the highway, they're all lit up for a reason.
No, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I also know people who move up to Sullivan County and can't stand, or even into Goshen, who can't stand the fact that there's no lights on their street. Because they used to, I can't fall asleep if there's no lights outside.
That's
Those
their-
people don't belong in a town, they belong in a village. And I can tell you, all around me is lights on 24 hours a day.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I agree. I think that there are many people who can't live without lights outside.
I came from the city with the light right outside my bedroom window.
Yep. I think Kenny Newbold, when he first moved in, called up the town and said, my street light's broken. You don't have one. But
You know,
anyhow,
And so
Long
far
enough
as,
we took the street light out, every time they came and fixed it, because my parents' bedroom was right in the front of the
Yeah.
house.
and talking about in the environment, at a project this size, there are a lot of nocturnal animals that need dark to hunt. And when you light this place up like this, we're displacing a lot of animals.
so
Okay.
you sound like you're arguing with my side now,
To say,
Mhm.
to say that we should want less
Yeah.
lighting there.
Not
what I'm
only-
saying is that
yeah,
it's possible that this project doesn't belong there.
I have counted
said that an
at
hour and a
least
half ago.
Okay, well,
25
Yeah,
there's
pretty
another,
much.
that's another question then, okay? Let's talk about the amount of lighting and the impact of nocturnal animals. I don't disagree.
I don't know where the turkeys nest, but I have at least
I'm
25
gonna-
of them in my yard at one time. And I know they're nesting somewhere in my property, because they come with babies.
So, what they're proposing here is
I
that
had 12 deer on my lawn.
anything within,
Well, that too.
the question is how much woods are they gonna take down? And they're saying anything within the limits of disturbance, they're gonna remove the woodlands.
What about the bats?
So it's gonna be about 18 acres.
Yeah, it's huge.
And if we're gonna give credence to like nocturnal animals, why don't we give credence to people that own the houses? Shouldn't the humans get credence first?
It's certain, the argument that would, yes, we do, and certainly we should have them design and show, that you have no light beyond the property line. Which includes light pollution. I mean, we have been pretty good about that. I know one time the ERB, a long time ago, ran around the back parking lot here, measuring the light. We actually had Lamb Electric come out at that point, and talk to us about it, and it was very good.
But it's on a different level.
Sure.
All right, they're on top of the building,
By
you're
the
gonna
way, I
see
have
light no matter
candy
what.
and I'm sharing
Yep.
it if anybody
So.
wants it.
Geez, I get to see the sheriff's department, the 911 center, the
Yeah.
winery, I get to see all that.
None of that was there how many years
No,
ago, right?
Exactly.
Dark skies,
Dark
no more.
skies, yeah.
To go see the Aurora Borealis tonight, I gotta go up to Sullivan County.
Yeah.
That's happening.
What else?
Yeah.
Bulk storage of fluids, water, no. They say no more than 185, less than 185 gallons of chemicals or stuff like that. My question I really have is they have no storage of petroleum, yet I don't know what they're gonna use for fire pumps, I don't know what they're using for generators. It may just be natural gas, in which case we don't have to worry about it, but. Interesting thing, under solid waste, talking about having 14 tons a month of solid waste while they're operating. That sounded high. to me.
That's a lot of garbage.
Yep, that's what I got too, and
I wonder
But
why.
once again, they don't know who's gonna occupy the building.
gas, plastics, and cardboard.
Is this that ITT number, they base it based on the square footage, they talked about the planning board?
It may be what they're doing, but maybe they're doing that, everything like that, but that's where I'm coming up with, 28 tons a month while during construction, 14 tons of garbage a month for operation. Seems high.
Okay, well, it's
Seems
better
like
that
they
they
better
put
do
high
much
than
better
low.
with recycling it somehow.
Saying you get garbage trucks to
Okay, so type of management or handling of waste proposed for the site, recycling or transfer station compost, and they don't give us any answers.
just makes everything better.
Commercial generation, retrievable storage, and proposal of hazardous. They have no hazardous, they're proposing no hazardous storage or treatment or storage or disposal of hazardous waste. And yet they don't talk about what they're gonna have in the building, as we would say. And so the question is,
What about the batteries? They have things with batteries that's not considered hazardous.
and certainly we have to, yeah, I would think if they're gonna dispose of the batteries, that's considered hazardous. I think that part of the, on page 9 needs to be fleshed out better.
Can we go back to that 14 tons of
Yep.
garbage a month?
Correct?
That's a half a ton a day, just about.
Yes.
So where is all that gonna go?
It's gonna go to the local hauling company and solid waste landfill.
No, where are they gonna store it on the property?
They'll probably have a container there or dumpster.
Yeah, so that's, they should have,
Compactor.
they should have it somewhere, they should have to show that somewhere.
How can they? They don't know what's going in there.
Well, they have to
How
show
do they know how
a
much?
container, you're right, yeah, all right, Jimmy.
Come on, let's move on.
All right, so they have to show that, I think. We need a dumpster enclosure or something. They show that no facilities serving children are within 1,500 feet, including daycare centers, licensed daycare centers or group homes. I question whether that's accurate. Somehow I think there may be licensed daycare centers within the area. So I just wanna know that they checked out with somebody.
It's at Noah's Zoo, isn't that?
Noah's Ark we used to be for animals.
Oh.
I don't even know if they have any animals anymore.
But they say they're open again, so.
Are they? No, look at it, kangaroo.
And Neil, just to be clear, when they say facilities serving children, elderly, people with disabilities, when you say facilities, when I'm talking, you're thinking about paid facility. Right there in the RU, there are a number of residents that are infirmed, elderly, and lots of children, so,
Yeah, but
they don't count?
No, they don't.
Okay.
Not unless they're in some kind of licensed daycare center or group home.
Understood.
But there are licensed childcare centers that are in people's houses,
Right,
and I don't know that they're not there.
okay.
So a group home could be done.
Yeah, yep. So I don't know if anybody checked it, I don't know how anybody checked it.
Would a school be considered a facility?
Yeah, but I guess they're saying that it's not, 1,500 feet doesn't make it to BOCES. That might be true, I don't know.
It doesn't make it across to like Berkeley or Fletcher or
Yeah.
something.
All right, is any project within 2,000 feet of a DEC environmental site remediation?
Yeah.
It says no, but I would've thought so. I would've
Yeah, it
thought-
does. How can we, how does Altair not be considered?
Are they not more than 2,000 feet? I have a question mark down for it.
What?
For that reason.
I'll start it right here.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that it's, can you see that map? That's,
Well, that would be 2675, that wouldn't be 59.
I can tell you this to this is 500 feet. So this one, no, doesn't hit the Terry, but this one will.
Okay. Then they had the distance between the project and the Orange Heritage Trail is 2.2 miles. I
No
don't
way.
know.
Maybe,
I'm gonna
maybe
get-
to the entrance of the trail.
Yeah, you go down to the corner there by Stewart and make a left-hand turn,
You're there, or come out, make the right onto Hartley,
Yeah.
and go down to Thames.
yes. I think 2.2 miles is long.
I think you're right. That, and again, that's the entrance of the site. If you wanna know the actual trail itself,
As the crow flies.
go straight across 2602,
Yeah,
and it's right behind there, so there's no way that's right.
yeah, 2.2 miles is not correct. Okay, anything else on that one? I think what we're gonna do in this one is, I'm gonna assume most of it is the same kind of comments, unless somebody has a problem with that.
Oh no, we're gonna do it all over again.
And I'm gonna hand the gavel to you, and you can run the meeting.
I'm with you, Mr. Chairman, it's probably all the
No,
same.
but no, there are some things different. Let's talk briefly, let's talk about it, what might be different. You have any from the other meeting the other night?
You know, they really, that presentation was lacking, and they did lump the two together very much.
Abominable.
Yeah.
Couldn't hear it. Second row, and you couldn't hear what that guy said.
It almost sounds like it shouldn't be considered here.
Yeah. That's why I sit up front, I can't hear anything, so,
Two things, the 50-foot buffer, and no buffer for noise. That's two things that weren't on the
Filters.
other one.
Filters.
I
No,
can't.
but otherwise on
It's a
the- on
live
the-
stream.
on the video now.
And they want, height variance, roof pitch, size, buffer 50 feet. Oh, no, yeah. They wanna go 50 feet from the property line.
Neil, on that one we just finished,
Yep.
is there any variance that's clear cut where it's not unreasonable, or is almost every variance they're asking for unreasonable?
Every, if you've been to the ZBA, you know that everyone's supposed to be considered by itself. And the question is whether or not it's particular to this project, or this site. And, so it's never should be considered, it's a slam dunk or whatever like that. Most of them are not so similar that it's a guarantee. I know on the other side of the road, when they considered, a variance for the height on the other side of the road next to furniture shops and whatever.
2602.
They did consider the fact that the building actually sat down lower than the road. So you actually, if it was a 45-foot tall building, from that road, it would look like it was only 35 feet tall. So they did consider that because it was unique to that property. So they are supposed to do that every time, as to what's unique to the property.
Well, he did mention that he thinks they're gonna start 10 feet higher than the other buildings from the actual level where,
But is they gonna start 10 foot higher than what they were proposing now?
yes,
Yeah.
from the first building, he estimated 10, when somebody asked the question, he says,
Yep.
it's gonna be about 10 feet higher, they're not gonna take down as much. So it's actually gonna start on a high elevation.
Right.
Which they brought up, okay, so a high elevation, is gonna bring the building almost up to the same height as a two-story one, and it's a bigger footprint, so it's gonna be much larger.
Sure, so we're gonna, the compatibility is gonna be, still gonna be an issue. Go ahead.
Well, on this one, you know, we're back to the building height. This entire building, the address, 2675. This is entirely in the CO, correct? There's no,
I believe that's true, yeah.
all right, so there's no highway commercial. And in the CO, you are allowed up to 200,000 square foot, 35 feet high. They are asking for 45 feet high. This is, again, very much the same as the other project. They're asking for everything. They want the height, they want the width. And I would, they're actually allowed 200,000 square feet, and they're asking for, rounded off to 230,000 square feet. So they want more square footage, and they want the height. So, and we're talking about a very big building. So I question whether or not this is a variance or an actual new zone that they're trying to create. But again, that 45-foot, and going back to John's comment that we have not seen the actual elevation drawings to say just how tall the building's actually going to look. When you're driving down the road, you don't care that the building, oh yeah, it's sitting 10 feet above higher, and that's why it looks so high. You just care that it's really, really high, and completely incompatible with that area, especially next to the RU district. The neighbors that live on Ruth Court, they're the ones that have this in their backyard. And I mean literally in their backyard. This building will block out the sun. So, starting with the,
How is this right here? This property right there?
turn it upside down because that helps me. That is the retention pond that had to be built for when Avi built Rolling Ridge. And he initially wanted to put the retention pond up here, but the town said, no, they didn't want it there, put it down there, so he had to build a
Oh, so
road.
it's not a person's house then?
This house owns the property all the way down there.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
It's an easement to the pond in the
Oh.
back.
Um,
And that pond is the reason I didn't buy that property.
So whereas the other property is split with the highway commercial, this one is all in the commercial office mixed use, and they are pinned up to 200,000 square foot, but they're asking for 230. Once again, this is directly adjacent to the RU zone. hey man, pick one. You want height, you want width? I think the applicant is shooting for the moon. And there are houses right here, so it's incompatible with, it's an incompatible area, to my mind. If we're trying to protect, the town, we're trying to protect the ecology, and we're protecting the residents, this destroys all of it. Same thing, same conversation with the pitch roof. It's not compatible with the master plan. And then we're not talking about changing a little bit from 8 on 12, we're talking a quarter on 12, essentially a flat roof. They also want a variance for that wooded buffer. They're supposed to have a 100-foot side and rear setbacks wooded buffer if the lot abuts a residential district, and it does. And they're asking for less than 100 feet on the rear and side yards against housing. I mean, you're taking away the residents' site buffer, noise buffer, light pollution buffer, air pollution buffer, and
Privacy.
And they're supposed to also have a 50-foot buffer for the parking lot if the lot is more than 10 spaces, and they have less than that. So you're bringing vehicles right up against these neighbors' backyard. I don't know what more they could do to destroy a neighborhood. It's simply incompatible with what's already existing there. But what do I know?
In that southeast corner too, they destroy that. Even if they're talking about this 50-foot residential buffer, we question whether or not this 50-foot residential buffer. But certainly when you get to that corner there is no such thing. It looks more like it's a 10-foot buffer down there.
Oh, yeah.
We don't even get 50 foot. It should be at least consistent. If 50 foot is the number, then be consistent there.
And going back to this overview from Google Earth, this is what we're talking about in here. These properties do exist all the way back, and they're plenty wooded. Not this one though. This has to be here. So that's exactly the picture that I have here, right? And you're talking about knocking out all these woods, and this is all parking. I mean, these houses, in the wintertime, you're straight through to it. And the houses up here on Howard will look straight down onto the building. This is at least a 40-foot rise in elevation. So I can already see straight across. So, now I'm just looking at a building.
Yeah.
Lights, trucks.
And this whole buffer on this side, this 50-foot residential buffer has a road in the whole way.
Yeah.
Yep.
It just seems to me that the applicant took a look at the codes and said, yeah, let's just not. And I don't even know where to begin with that. This is all a non-starter for me. If there weren't houses there already,
We're supposed to protect no matter what. We're protecting the residential, non-compatible, incompatible uses. It doesn't matter whether the houses are there or not, but all the more reason why we should.
I agree with you, but to take that point a little bit further, if the warehouses exist there, developer comes in, puts houses in, somebody comes in, they're gonna buy the house, they take a look at the backyard, they see a warehouse. Either I can accept that or not based on the price that I paid for the house. This is different, the house is already there, you have a wooded area, and I understand that something can be built there, but it has to be up to 200,000 square foot at 35 foot high, and you have to have buffers. And if you do that, can't really, hey, you bought next to that zone. That's not what this is. This is, I'd like it bigger, I'd like it higher, and I don't wanna have to deal with the buffer zone. Come on, it's too much. It's simply incompatible with the surrounding area.
I think that over here, for the emergency exit road, and I think they are, no, maybe not, say, this one and this one? I'm not sure those two comply.
I believe that is what they're doing. They're putting, yes.
So the question is, for Frank, does this comply for the second exit?
Well, I believe it does, and they do away with the 600-foot distance between the roads, the curb cuts, due to pre-existing non-conforming And that was handed down, Frank made a decision on that in 2023 in their notes, that it's pre-existing non-conforming, and they don't have the room to do it otherwise.
Yeah, they do.
I'm with you, they own that property, why
They can
not?
go here to here.
I understand. I think that, but these parking lots go out, so it's not 600 feet from this one here.
But I'm more worried about the fire code. The fire code says you must be, when you have a certain size building, and if you're gonna have this size building, you have to have the second egress, which is remote.
Mhm.
And remote is not far enough here, I don't think that qualifies for remote under the fire code.
Mhm.
Question is for Frank, he makes that determination now.
So the big trucks, how do they go in and out of that property? Is it only 17M, or are they going on Gate Schoolhouse?
No, nobody goes on Gate Schoolhouse.
Right, because
Nobody-
I have
nobody gets
restricted
there.
roadway.
Yeah. Nobody's
also-
going anywhere near Gate Schoolhouse Road.
Well, because that little entrance, I mean, they could, there's enough room where they can make it. but
No, they
not-
can't, they have to go through too much wetlands to get
Oh,
there.
okay. I'm just worried about the gas pipes,
Yeah, no, they're not gonna get there.
because I have trucks already as it is.
Yeah. They're not there, and supposedly I did check them on that with O&R, and they said they have no problem with this amount of cover on that gas pipe. They said very minimal.
Not one gas pipe, two.
All right, but, you know, that's the extent of what I know. Okay, is there anything else unique to this property that,
All the same things that we talked about the other
Yeah.
property
No,
exist on this one.
yeah,
Although I would say, once again, we talk about number of trucks per day, number of operations, and the applicant separates the two as two different properties. However, if you're building these properties together, including 2602 across the street, how can we not combine them to show the real number of truck operations that all enter 17M within less than half a mile of each
I
other?
think it got to it, I don't see how you don't do that.
And the one at Amy's.
Right, sure, there's at least four of them,
That's
four of them that were RDMs.
Mhm.
And then you add Royal Wines and.
And then you got the one on Police Drive.
Sure, no, there's, all those have to be included anyhow, but in this case, we have at least three of the RDMs that are being in front of us now, and to some degree, should be considered all together. Because while RDM had, and I think you see, even on here, they show, future alignment of the two-way, left turn lanes, all the way up to here, they're showing that, up to Gates Schoolhouse. However, with Amy's Kitchen being modified to have a lot more traffic, it may be some indication that it has to go all the way down to Amy's Kitchen, at least to that traffic lane.
So they're gonna make this a 3-lane, 17M 3-lane?
I think they are showing that to be 3 lanes.
And who pays for that?
I think that they were proposing to pay for that.
The whole 17M or just their section
No,
there?
no, their section, I think from Gates Schoolhouse down, they were
Two
gonna,
warehouses?
for these two warehouses, right, the development of those two warehouses were gonna cover the cost of that. I think that's what was being
So
proposed.
if it's gonna be 3 lanes and then it mushes down to 2 lanes, what happens with that?
We have a traffic jam. I mean, right here, I think what they are showing here, all along the way is 3 lanes with the center lane being a turning lane. Okay, I think down here further, they may end up having 4 lanes wide. But I think this is 3 lanes wide. I think down here was 4 lanes wide, right in front of this and right down to here, the next one.
Quite honestly, if all of these things get built, add in Royal Wines, you could have 3 lanes each way, I don't think it'll be enough. You're just turning this into a truck parking lot.
And one of the other,
Just
I
turning
think-
it into the Long Island.
I have not sat in on the master plan, but I understand they did a traffic study there. It'll be interesting to know what their traffic study results are.
That is something else we should mention, that the town is currently updating the master plan. Town Councilman Cantorino is heading that committee. I do believe that they are getting very close to being completed. Traffic plan, as you said, is part of that, and that is being done. I understand that these projects came in before that update, but, I'd be interested to see if the updated plan makes, is more warehouse friendly or less warehouse friendly, I don't know.
Well, I think there's two things. One is the comprehensive plan shouldn't do zoning, and should, but it should have some comments about it. And so I'm not sure where it's going. And as to whether or not the town board ends up deciding, yes, we're gonna change the zoning to be less friendly, I'm just saying less friendly,
Right.
then they may or may not decide that RDM has gone far enough along in the process that they should be allowed to continue anyhow.
That's interesting, I didn't know that's possible.
Yes, it is, yep, you can decide that. In the past, we've done that, and then we've
Okay.
said, if you have preliminary approval, you have enough.
But this is a new application, not the same as the other one.
I-
They haven't done, did
And
they finish
they
seeker?
never completed seeker on the others,
Well,
okay?
it's an
On these two, they have.
John, very good point, this is what I'm saying, is that those other plans for those other buildings, throw them in the garbage. This is a whole new plan. I don't see this as continuation.
I think most of the actual site plan and that can be ignored from the past. However, some of the information, some of the traffic studies are still gonna be useful.
How useful can they be? The traffic studies were 5-6 years ago. Do you know how much, look at the increase in traffic over just the last few years. I think you actually made a point to this before, that we've got plans out there, we've got projects out there, they're sitting on the books for a decade, and the studies that were done, they're useless.
Theoretically, some of those studies should still be used for this, but then you're right. When we start talking about what's the impact gonna be 10 years from now, the ones that started 15 years ago are no longer relevant.
Exactly.
Anything else different on this, John? Louis?
Nope.
Nothing else unique about this one? I think all our comments about the other one move forward. I think that's it. Again, the numbers just don't match up. The number of employees versus the number of parking spaces versus the entrance and all that just seems to be all over the place. Need to tie in. Okay? Anybody have comments on the meeting?
Well, you wanna do anything with Ready Mix?
You wanna do, no, I wasn't gonna do anything.
That's fine.
It's just on your agenda, so.
What? Ready Mix was?
Is there something else on the agenda while we're here?
What's on the agenda?
Ready Mix.
Ready Mix.
That's the only other thing, but is that something,
I don't think it's pressing.
we're not pressing?
Ready Mix, I think, the only thing on Ready Mix was that they were talking about their plans. I think that Ready Mix came back with the plan back from the state, because we talked about having to have a turning lane or an acceleration lane. And I think the only thing that came back from the state was they're gonna go with, that Ready Mix will not be allowed to make a left-hand turn lane into their.
That's not a problem, because everybody can go past there, turn around, come back, and go.
That's what they're gonna do, they're gonna go down to the traffic light, turn around and come back.
And we get the
What about
traffic
leaving there though?
That's-
That's the problem.
Yes.
going up that hill.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
their, I can't find it tonight, but their lawyer also sent along the letter saying that, traffic alone is not a reason to, deny a project, and they quoted the case law, which, in other words, they were telling us right at the beginning, we don't wanna hear it.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that, and I'll send it over to you.
That's gonna be up to the attorney to figure it out now.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, if that's not pressing, then we're just fine.
Good.
I have a question, if they decide to put a temporary moratorium on something,
Yeah.
you know, that's been new, is that been new only, or would that stop anything that's in the works?
The answer is yes. The answer is that the town board would decide, if you're gonna go to a moratorium, you determine what the break-off point is. In the past, we had, anybody who didn't have preliminary approval was stopped. When we did it way back in 2002, we had 2 people sue us, and they paid us, I don't know, $300,000 or $400,000 to do work on a study. We did a water study at that point in time. They were allowed to continue under interim zoning, which was a modification between what we thought we were gonna do and what we, in fact, your subdivision was it. Yours was the interim subdivision, or interim zoning. So yes, they can decide where to do it and what they're gonna do. So if they were to do a moratorium on
Batteries?
battery storage, they could say, we're gonna put a moratorium now, nobody has preliminary approval yet, and therefore everybody stops. Or they could say, look, if you've gone into it and had this much, then that one can go forward, but the next one can't.
I see.
So all depends on how the town board wants to write it up.
But yet I was told with the building moratorium that anything that was in the plans already wouldn't be affected if they did a moratorium.
Whoever told you that is probably speaking from what they intend to do.
Yeah, well,
There is not a guarantee.
I've been asking for a moratorium for close to a year and Marie got one in a week.
But all I can tell you is that on a moratorium like that, it is up to the town board to determine what the breakup point's gonna be. They decide.
And a big part of that was that Councilman Cantorino's committee, he actually made a point at the town board meeting to say that the battery energy storage systems, that his committee was asking for a moratorium, and that really did.
I think he's the one that got it, I just backed him.
I'm not.
Don't worry, I'll
Same
never be
with
using a
you.
pool, I can tell you that.
All right, anybody else? Good, thank you very much.